Hello, good evening. It's Talkin Kop, where we're going to do post-match reaction. It's finished Brighton and Hove Albion 3, Liverpool 2. Have still won the league, and it was all a bit of fun. It's me, Chris Brackham, here with Kev and Ashley. Ash, how are you finding this being champions? We don't seem to like to win games, but we've won it.
Yeah, welcome back to the Liverpool lose a game that doesn't really matter show again. Hopefully everyone in the chat can kind of just get on board with this being a little bit of a preseason game. Hopefully not too many people are really upset. It's a learning experience. It was not our best performance. There were things that we can take and things that we can definitely leave. But yeah, hopefully no one's too upset because we are still lifting the big shiny thing next weekend.
Yeah, Kev, initial thoughts?
Yeah, it was game Brighton had to win it, and they threw the kitchen sink at it, and they got the result that they needed. I saw the lineup, and I was like, okay, we're just going to see how this shit works. We're just going to try a few things, see what happens, and just pray to God nobody gets injured. It seems like that was the kind of attitude that the lineup was picked for. And if you were seeing that lineup in the fifth round of the FA Cup, you're like, yeah, okay, fair enough. That'd be fine. I'd be okay with that. But if you needed a draw in your last two games to win the Premier League, you're not picking that 11. So take tonight for what it is. It was two sides, one who desperately needed 3 points, another side who just wanted to go and see if they could score goals. And that was it. You can't read anything into it. There's a few players that will look at tonight and go, yeah, did okay there. And there was a few experiments that I think were tried that showed that with a bit of work and a bit of time, they could work. But there was a few things there that will probably give Arne Slot one or two things to think about over the summer.
Yeah, I mean, actually, that's kind of the point, isn't it? This is Arne Slot's time to sort of try new things, see what happened, and then see if some things work or some things he can work in pre-season. Even if they don't work fully tonight, you might see some things going right. How does Elliott in the 10 look? How does Szoboszlai playing as an 8 look? How do we cope without the leadership of Virgil van Dijk? What does Chiesa do through a middle with a bit more of the regulars around it? It's that sort of thing. Does he? I think he would have liked to have won, but it's not. Again, it's one of those things where it's a bit pre-seasony, isn't it? In terms of it's nice to get the win, but if we don't, there's no real repercussions for it. The only thing it does, it annoys certain fan bases because they don't like they've got a thing in the head about Premier League teams should win by certain points totals and things like that. But let's go through the lineup. So there were, from the Arsenal game, there were 4 changes. There's 3 changes to the back line. So we had 2. Gerald Kwanzaa came in for Virgil van Dijk and Tsimikas came in for Robbo. Bradley starts again. Konate, Ali in goal. Midfield was Ryan Gravenberch. McAllister not in the squad at all. Szoboszlai starts deeper. And then Harvey Elliott is given his opportunity to 10. And then and then the front 3 was Salah, Gakpo, and we saw Chiesa number 9. So some interesting options to see there.
For Chiesa.
First one.
He didn't do much with it. I was excited. To see him in the 9. I'm glad that he played through the middle. That's what Kev wanted to see. That's what I wanted to see. He looked like he was lacking fitness. He had a couple of little intricate plays up front, like right in the first half of the game, but he faded quite quickly. I didn't think he tracked back enough to be our center forward. And I think you maybe saw hints of why he hasn't been played quite enough. But yeah, it was experimental across the board. Like this was beyond like FA Cup. This was like, we're testing people in different positions. Like we're playing against good competition. Brighton are a very good team. But you had your hard hitters sitting on the bench or sitting at home. So in terms of going out to win this match, I don't think that was the priority. The priority was trying out some tactical tweaks and trying out a few players in certain positions and maybe not making headlines in the way that we made headlines last week with Arsenal, which I'm glad that we didn't do.
Yeah, I mean, Kev, you could see why he wants to try Chiesa through the 9 because we saw in the cup, balls in behind, he's got the pace and he's got, he's certainly got the finishing ability to cause problems.
Yeah.
I think he struggled with the physicality. Van Heckel, I think, worked that out quite quickly. He was on top of him all game, but that,
Yeah.
but also, it just looks like a man who hasn't started many games. He doesn't look match sharp at
Well,
all.
there's that, and the fact that he got absolutely zero service whatsoever, which is what's a key trend with everyone who's played in the 9 this year for us. It stands out like a sore thumb. They will not get chances put on a plate from like a normal striker does. They're not really looked for as a focal point to play off. And it's no surprise. I mean, it's no surprise. Chiesa is his first Premier League start. I don't think he's ever completed night. He has. I'd say you'd struggle to go back and look at when Federico Chiesa actually played 90 minutes.
A while ago.
It would be a long time ago. No, I'd say you could go further back than that.
I reckon it's pre-ACL.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if he's done a 90 since his ACL.
So
it took a lot out of him.
I mean, he's not the real issue with anything tonight, because at the end of the day, he was given a job to go in the 9. He did what he could. The one thing that he did do is, instead of what you'd normally expect a striker to do, is have a shot in the position that he was in. He laid a pass off to Harvey Elliott. That was exactly the right decision. And
he did a great one to Bradley as well, didn't he?
Yeah, exactly. It was little thing. He's got a great football brain. I think he'll leave Liverpool in the summer and go off, and I think he will absolutely fly it if he goes back to Italy. I just got this feeling that you'll see him at the World Cup next year playing for Italy in that front 3, and he'll be fantastic, and we'll scratch our heads saying, how did we mess this up? But I don't think we have. I just think that you're right with the physicality. I also think that he's better from a wing and not in a 9. And he just doesn't get in the head of the wingers that we have. It's just a fact.
Yeah, I think you're right there. And then Ash, we had a Grav playing deeper today. I think we could describe that a work in progress, because I think on the ball, you can see why his national manager says he should play the deeper role. He's got the range of passing. He's got the physicality. He needs to work on what's behind him. He did get back into defensive positions, but it was more of it's not a natural way of thinking. But I'll be honest, there's probably that accusation made about Gravenberch when we first put him back there. It's something that could be learned, and he's young enough to adapt to that position.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of offensive talent going forward with Elliott and Szoboszlai kind of partnering. I don't look at either of them as particularly defensive minded. I think you've got Gravenberch there who can and is defensively minded now. But I thought Elliott was bright for the first maybe 35, 45 minutes of the game. He got a goal and assist. I think that we'll talk about him later. He seized his opportunity in this game in a way that he hasn't in the past. I think he looks better when he's surrounded by players that help elevate him. And also when he I don't know if I just froze there. I feel like I did. Awesome. That's a great place for me to freeze. That's a really nice face. Yeah. We're going to keep going. Let me see if I can shut that off. You guys continue. I have to reset my camera because that's having a little bit of a mini meltdown. You guys keep going.
Yeah, so that's fine. So, Kev, in terms of the other changes, we'll come to the back 4 as a whole, because I would say it was a mixed bag. I think that's the polite way to put it. Alisson was busier than we would have liked him. Some of that was the back 4, which we'll come into. Some of that was probably the lack of cover from the midfield too, which ultimately that is Gravenberch and Szoboszlai's first port of call, and I think that was left lacking a couple of seconds. It was a very, very open bit of a basketball game, wasn't it? But talk about the first goal though. This is where you did see the benefit of Szoboszlai deep. He plays a great pass into Bradley from deep, who cuts inside, lays it off, and it's a nice finish by Elliott, which is good for him.
Yeah, it was a really was a cheesy, FIFA-esque, shitty, horrible goal that you'd hate conceding. But Bradley did brilliantly get into the line. Because there was a couple of times where he could have cut it back, and he just held it and held it and held it until the pass was there. And that goal was more about Bradley getting to the position and having a bit of composure. And good to see Elliott breaking his neck to get there. Good finish, but a bit against the run of play, I think, in all fairness. You take it because it relieves a bit of pressure on you, but it was, I felt at the time it was a bit against the run of play, as it proved in, because for the next few minutes,
they really upped it. They really upped it after the goal.
They upped it big time.
Yeah, I mean, both that front three, that three behind Welbeck were just a bit of a nightmare, weren't they?
Well, it wasn't just that. I think our biggest problem tonight was the midfield three. The Szoboszlai, Gravenberch, Elliott triangle. It was too disjointed. They were too spread apart. And Baleba was an absolute animal in the middle of the park. The amount of times he got on the ball and just burst right through 4 or 5 players and just split. It was like Moses in the Red Sea. The whole lot just parted.
Yeah.
It was mad. But he controlled the whole thing. I mean, he wasn't brilliant. I don't think he was brilliant on the ball. Personally, I think some of his passing was okay. But his running with the ball, his strength of running with the ball was impressive. He was really, really good. But that created the problems that the back four had, was the amount of space that Brighton had to run into. And the way, with the two wingers with pace, Gruda in a 10 and Awari supporting, it was just, they had more, it was more constructed. You know, their attacks were more constructed. It was really, really good. And having Danny Welbeck up front means that you have a number 10 who's a number 9 knows his game inside out, who you can play off. He gets you up the pitch, he holds it up, he brings everyone else into play, he links everything. And it's a massive difference. It really is a massive difference for the way the Brighton set up. So I just felt, we were 1-0 up, but you just knew it was never going to stay that. It was just never going to stay that.
Yeah. Oh, actually, back. That's good. So, Ash, we just about to go into the first Brighton goal. Dave T, our resident Newcastle fan, said, hard to judge any player too much. Obviously, your intensity has dropped and the lines, etc. Yeah, there is that. You know, it's hard to make sweeping statements because you can see that intensity drop. I think you see that for the Brighton first goal, Ash. It's a bit of both. Let's give Brighton credit. It's a great ball to find him. It's well back. Times is run perfectly for the layoff. Lovely inside pass between Konate and Bradley, and it's a good finish. I think when you watch the replay, I think he does scuff the finish a bit, which I think is what beats Alisson. But from a Liverpool perspective, Konate sort of tries to charge out, but then doesn't. So he's caught ball watching. And for me, Bradley's probably a bit too slow in the cover. Yeah,
I mean, that run from deep is something that we actually do really well to other teams. And Brighton did us on this. It was a good run from deep. It was one-touch football. It was well-timed. I think our defensive line was looking for an offside. It was not offside. It was well-timed. And then that second run by Ayari, that was very well-timed. And that wasn't even close. That wasn't where the offside was. It was a good finish. There was a bit of a scuff, but it was down low. I think it was to Ali's right. Alisson kept this respectable today. He can't save everything, unlike the PSG game where he was kind of like Superman. That was a good finish. And then the ones that are coming up were also a good finish from Brighton. So, for me, this is just an example of our defensive line being, totally chop and changed. we're seeing Bradley learning the role. I think he has a lot going forward that is extremely exciting. I think you saw that in the first goal. I'm sure you guys already talked about that. Defensively, this was not his best showing for me. I think that there are a lot of different things that he can pick out from this game and be like, you can work on this, you can work on this, you have to follow this runner. And, there's going to be a list of things that he needs to do. And it's big shoes to fill, if you're talking about him being our starting right back, he feels raw to be our starting right back. I think is Frimpong going to, are we saying that Bradley's the starting right back, or is Frimpong really coming
I think it's horses for courses. And also, I always thought Bradley would be an option next year, but it's a big jump to say to a lad who's not even got 50 starts for the club, you're the main guy. Sorry, 50 starts in professional football.
I mean, we haven't really even seen him do 90 minutes this year.
No, that's the ongoing concern with him. Is forget back to back. When was the last time he did a 90? It was a wee while ago, wasn't it?
It was a long time ago. I mean, there's just a lot of things where, again, it's really important that we as fans don't kind of pile on all of these expectations. We see him have these fantastic tackles against Mbappe and come in, and he is really feisty, but he's raw. There's a lot that he does need to work on, and game time helps, but I do worry. I worry about him, and I worry about the step up.
Yeah, I mean, I can see a few in the chat saying if I think ADD's put that if my intensity drops at work, I'd probably get the sack. It's hard. You can't really compare it to a real world job. It's a sports job, but also you run up to a holiday. I guarantee you, everyone's intensity drops. Leading up to a holiday, or just coming out of a holiday. It's not.
No, I'll tell you the classic one, right? You're telling me that you're in work on Christmas Eve and you're in there slogging your guts out on a production line on Christmas Eve. Give yourself a fucking rest, lad. Honestly, seriously, grow the fuck up.
Yeah, so look, I think you see it with all sports teams is once they've won the big trophy, if there's no other things to go for, you naturally see an intensity drop. Unless you're on the verge of setting some sort of really unprecedented record, a la City doing 100 points or going undefeated, that sort of thing. But otherwise, most clubs have a drop off.
I'll tell you one thing, right? Bradley does have an issue with sensing danger. It's a similar thing with Dominic Szoboszlai in that 6-6. He hasn't got a defensive bone in his body. He doesn't sense his awareness, his defensive awareness, his sense of danger of what could happen is a problem. Neville in halftime, because in fairness, for Monday Night Football with Carragher and Neville tonight, they were in Monday Night Football mode, which is how I want
proper analysis
to be. No, that's how I want them to be. And he was right in what he said. Konate, I thought initially was a problem because he went and then he didn't drop. But the problem was Bradley. The movement, the problem started ahead was Gravenberch didn't track the run. But Bradley he could see everything. He had the picture in front of him. He had to track the inside runner because if the ball goes wide, fine. You're already inside in a line of 4. You'll back yourself to deal with the cross that comes in. But if the ball, like what did happen, comes to the guy on the inside and you're not there, he's one-on-one with your keeper. That's the danger. And he looked at it, he thought about it, and by the time he made his decision to go, the ball was already gone. And it's little things like that he will pick up over time. Conor Bradley is still 21 years of age, still learning his game. Frimpong is 24, has the bones of 200 games under his belt in various leagues at club, international level, Champions League level, and has also won a Bundesliga with an unfancied side playing in a weird system.
What surprised me
for a newbie manager.
Kirkes is younger than Bradley.
Yeah, but
I think that's something to kind of, I don't know, that kind of put it in perspective for me.
I think
Bradley's not getting game time, so he can't fix the issues. So that's something that next season obviously will change. But they're both very young. Especially if we do look to bring in Kirkes. I mean, there's a lot of youth in that back line. And we saw today what happened when Virgil wasn't there to sort of marshal the troops. I don't think we have leaders in the team, but I don't necessarily know if we have leaders in the back line outside of Virgil. I think Robertson is there.
Yeah.
But I look at Konate and I look at Kwanzaa and I think, are you leaders? For me, no.
Yeah.
Okay. The thing I'll say about Kirk is Kirk has got 2 seasons under his belt. And he's not coming in to replace Andy Robertson in August. He's coming in to replace Andy Robertson in March. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
In the exact same way as when Andy Robertson came in from Hull, Albi Moreno was still going to be the starting left back at the time. It was like Robertson is coming in to supplement the squad. And a couple of months down the line, he got used to the system and he started playing. And I see Kirkes in that same mold. If it is Kirkes, it might not be. I mean, I was reading tonight, Kirkes is heavily linked, but there's other left backs that they're looking at as well. So I don't think that's it, but I think that's far away from being a done deal. But whoever comes in on the left-hand side, I don't think they're going to be replacing Robertson in August. But I think down the line, that's the plan. With Frimpong, I think he is going to be the guy with the shirt when he comes in, unless Bradley can shift it off him. But I think it'll be more case. We've seen it this season with Arne Slot. He likes subbing his fullbacks, both of them. And he likes, because the work rate that they have to get through, getting up and down the pitch. And I think you'll see it more in games with Frimpong and whoever is on the left, if it is Kirkes. The work rate they have to go through, I think you can burn a player out on 60 minutes with the engine that they're going to be asked to, the intensity that they're going to be asked to play at. So I think having 4 fullbacks will get plenty of games, whether it's off the bench for half an hour and start the next game and they swap and just rotate, and that's how it's going to be for a while. I don't think you're going to see too many weeks where you're going to see a Frimpong or a Kirkes or a Robertson or a Bradley starting 3 or 4 back-to-back games. I don't see that happening. I think you're more likely to see your centre-back partnership being more established and settled. But your full-backs, I think, will be interchangeable. They have to be because of the work rate that they're going to be asked to play at.
Yeah. So let's talk about the big debate, because we had this in our WhatsApp chat. So Szoboszlai's goal. So we win a free kick. Elliott lays it off to Szoboszlai. Sob has it wide. It loops in at the back post. Is it a cross? Is it a shot? I say it's a cross.
I think it's a cross, but I can see, you look at his technique when he hits it. He hits a free kick like that as well. Whenever he hits a free kick, it doesn't curl. It dips.
Yeah, it's that Ronaldo. I think you describes that Ronaldo technique. Yeah,
it's that CR7 hitting the ball with your side of your foot, side on, and getting the ball to overspin and dip up and down. And I think that's how I think it was a cross. I think he tried to put the cross on it, but the technique was like, right, if this gets across the goal and someone gets a head on it, great. If it doesn't, it's within the width of the post and the keeper is going to have to do something either way.
Yeah.
But,
Ashley, what do you think?
I mean, I want to give it to him because it's such a good I really do.
Still his goal. He still gets it.
Run with it. I don't really care. You know what? I don't care. Like,
I think
he looked surprised when it went in, but at the
he
same
looks
time,
sheepish.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care. Like, I'm gonna give it to him. It was a fantastic finish.
Real talk.
It was one of the It was.
It was
I
this.
keep
It was
thinking
like
about that goal that they replay like over and over and over on
Oh,
Twitter.
that free kick,
he scored this thing. Like, I don't really care if he meant it or not. I just want them to like throw in another goal that he scores just for variety.
I think Sky said, "Do you reckon he meant it?" And they showed them celebrate. I think Simicast is walking over to that, and he just does that facial expression, kind of says, "Yeah, that's definitely a cross."
Whatever.
He's got the worst poker. He's got the worst poker face. But listen, at halftime, I was like, "Oh, I'll take it." You know,
you take it. Look, I'm just having a quick look at this.
We had 3 chances pretty much in that first half. We took 2 of them.
Yeah.
I'll take it. You know, Brighton away is a difficult one, especially when you make 5 changes.
They had 11 shots and 4 on target, and they had more of the ball. You know, I think when I thought it was against the run, when I actually look at the stats of it, we 7 attempts, 3 on target, 1 big chance. that we didn't take. And the number of passes were the same. They were the better side in the half, but it wasn't like we were played off the park. We were getting half decent chances. We forced some decent saves.
Yeah, especially second half. I mean, just before we go into second half, in case you can see in the corner, we've got our QR code there, which is for our Patreon. So if you want to become a member of Patreon, just scan the QR code with your phone and become a Patreon member. You'll get exclusive shows from us, access to all the audio as well. And what we're able to do on Patreon, which you can't do on YouTube, is more of our shows. We can do more videos and, put more graphics up. So it's good fun. And we just do some shows which are just exclusive to Patreon. So, try it for a month for free and see if you like it. It's good fun. And you also get to join our Telegram group, which is great fun. From football to tractors to cows to chips.
God knows.
Pretty much everything.
We haven't had a good chip chat in ages. I think Kev's going to organise the next chip chat soon anyway, aren't you, Kev?
So I'll do something about it, yeah.
Yeah, we need to have one there. So second half gets underway, and Ash, I'll stick with you. Liverpool start quite brightly, actually. I mean, we have miss of the season from Mo Salah, and we kept their keeper busy. And it did feel like, do you know what? This is getting feisty end to end. Nick third in, game's done. Just didn't quite materialise that way in the end, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, it didn't materialize that way. I mean, that Salah open net was his moment. He's got that record right on his horizon. I think he knows that. It seems like it's in his head. That was so uncharacteristic. That was a miss that Nunes would have been proud of. And I hope it happens for him. But at the same time, I feel like the team just isn't quite functioning in the way that, will facilitate. So if he's going to make it happen, it's going to happen on his own terms. And you could see him today. There were times where he had the ball, he shot, but he definitely should have crossed. There was one time where Chiesa was wide open right on the penalty spot, and it was the perfect opportunity, and Mo was just eyes on the goal. So I don't know. I don't know if it will happen for him. I mean, Crystal Palace is not a gimme game. I think that the lineup will be stronger, but
I'll be honest.
That miss was just...
That Crystal Palace game could be a game of who's more pissed.
It could be. It could be honestly, it could be anything.
That game could be anything.
I'm happy that the team is going in the right direction on the field.
I was so happy Crystal Palace won. And
I am too. Yeah.
And also, that's going to make a great community shield because it's just someone different to play as well. So, breaking news just come up from Lewis Steele.
Not me this time.
No, from Lewis Steele. Alexis McAllister won't play for Liverpool again this season. Needs a long rest, says Arne Slot, after, in quotes, playing like a typical Argentinian all season. And then he's put underneath, this is now Lewis's comments. Not a new injury, he says, but just needs a long rest to be fully charged for next season. So
okay.
So that says to me, obviously, I think that's the whole red zone stuff, isn't it? That he's goosed. So
I mean, okay, I guess. I don't love that. I don't love what the media is going to do with that.
Oh no, the media will make out he's going to Real Madrid or stuff like that, but that means paying money, which they're not massive fans of doing. But also, I think Kev, you pointed out to me, there's international qualifiers, isn't there? Is it June? And let's be honest, he's going to play in both of them. So, look, if he needs the rest, he needs the rest. They've obviously, there is like a niggle, and they just don't want to worry. They don't want to risk him, but it is what it is. Anyway, back to the game. So, talk about, I think, Kev, this is a tale of substitutes now. One side subs make big impacts, one side subs don't make any impact. I think Mitoma came on in the 65th minute, and by the 69th minute, he'd scored. Yeah, and it was that similar pass again in between Kanate and Bradley. The sort of inside pass that fullbacks have to be aware of, and Bradley doesn't see it. Cut back, good finish. And you're like,
yeah,
shit.
I don't know. I don't know if he can do anything about that pass. I just think that pass is just fucking perfect. I genuinely think that pass into, I think it was Welbeck. It was just weighted perfectly. It was eye to needle stuff. And once the ball comes out, once Ali saves it and the ball comes out, that can come out anywhere. The technique to get his foot over that ball to get a shot away in the first place is a joke. But to get his foot to get over the ball and get it back on target like he did, that's a ridiculous finish. There's no amount of following the runner or anything like that. Look how when you watch, if you get a chance, if anyone gets a chance to watch this goal back, just watch him, watch his movement, and count in your head 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3. Watch how fast that actually happens. No one's getting anywhere near it. He just follows it in the hope that something might bounce back to him. It did, and technique to get over that ball was a frightening finish. I wish we didn't have 2 really good left wingers. I would pay really good money to go and watch him playing in red.
He's 28 tomorrow.
I don't care.
I know.
I don't
like he
care.
So late in his career, like he is a fantastic player, but he's 28 tomorrow.
I think the thing is, I think he's cheating though. I think he's such an anomaly because he came to football so late. You know, it's like he didn't really have, his body hasn't had the rigors of a youth team player breaking into a first team side and playing at a high level. It's like football almost came to him late. And I think that with all of the moves that people have gone, you know, come to Brighton and left Brighton and gone on and done whatever, how nobody in European football has gone, do you know what? I'm taking him. How has nobody gone in and just gone, you know what? Here's 50 million, 60 million quid. Come and play for me at Atletico Madrid. Come and play for me at AC Milan. He's just one of these footballers. He's a throwback. He's a proper winger who loves to take people on. He's got brains to burn with the ball at his feet. His vision is up there with anything you'll ever see. He's just a pleasure to watch. Brighton fans are so lucky to get to watch him at home every other week. You know, I think he's phenomenal. And if it wasn't for the fact that we had Cody Gakpo and Luis Diaz at the club, I would love to take him for 4 years. I'd love to watch him at Liverpool for 3 years. Really fucking would. I just think he's such a special footballer. I can't help it. I've always watched him and gone, kind of like I do with Yamin Lamau. I sit there and I watch him like, yeah, shit, man, you're really just fucking good. And it's like, I don't care who you play for. It's like, yeah, you're just really good, and I enjoy watching him play. He's just got that for me. He's just one of these footballers that I love watching play. And I don't care if it's for, you know, if it's against us or whoever. I know today it didn't mean much but for us, but I could wax lyrical about him for hours. He's just one of them.
Yeah. So let's talk about the winning goal in the end. It's by Hinchelwood, who I think he's literally been on the pitch about 2 minutes.
45 seconds.
Yeah.
Since he came on and then he scored. Yeah.
Konate goes wandering. I'll put to try and press his attacker. Doesn't win the header, and I think if I'm being generous, jogs back. And then
power walks.
It's a good cross. Very tight, and you know, easy tapping. Quanta can't touch it because if he touches it, he'll put it in for an own goal. Kind of feel like the cross comes in probably where you would expect the right-sided centre-back to be, which kind of summed up how our right side played defensively. And Liverpool got punished for not killing the game off at 2-1 and just being really sloppy. And I think Brighton got what they deserved, quite frankly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was what it was. It was a team that was fighting for you know, they were actually playing for something. Like, there still is a chance that they could get Europe. There's a whole bunch of different dominoes that need to fall in order for that to happen. But this was one of those dominoes, and they're fighting until the last breath. I mean, this was their last home game. I just think that kind of like what we've seen, like we just sort of, the air just deflated out of the balloon. And this time it was not through anyone's fault, anyone's, substitution coming on, kind of doing that. It was just, you can't fake intensity. And this game doesn't mean anything to us. And you can't fake that. Like, for them, it does mean something. And for them to be first to the ball, like in that scenario, like,
they've still got an outside chance of Europe if
they
things
do.
drop for them. So
I think it's a decent chance now. I could see it being a decent chance for them.
Don't still need something to go in the way for 8th to count.
Yeah, but I think you look at who's playing who at the weekend. I think they've given themselves a huge chance with a win tonight.
Yeah, okay. So before we go to Ashley's quote corner, let's go for man of the match, honourable mention, and could do better. Ash, I'll let you go first.
The man of the match is the one whose quotes are coming out post-match, which is sad. And the man of the match for me is Elliott. There's some post-match quotes that are coming out from him that make it look like he's leaving. And that seems really sad. I thought he was very good today. I thought that, the positional play that he had, like he was playing a little bit deeper. He wasn't playing in that weird 10 that they were trying to force on him. I think surrounded by Szoboszlai and Gravenberch, you could see him. Like he was linking play, and he was doing a little bit of the Alexis McAllister role early on. I think he lost it as time went on. I think when Szoboszlai went off, it looked unbalanced. When Jones came on, Elliott for me lost the thrust that was happening. But goal, assist. I think for the first 60 minutes of the game, I thought he really seized his opportunity. Honorable mention, I'm going to give it to Allison because I think that he kept it respectable today. I thought he made a couple of really, really good saves. There were a few there, especially on Welbeck, that we didn't really talk about, that one-on-one, typical Alli stuff. He makes it look easy, but it was not easy. I think this could have quite easily been 4-2, 5-2 if Allison wasn't in goal. Yeah, it could have been many, many digits. Could do better for me is Konate. I think that this was his opportunity to prove that he could be that leadership role. He was the one that was not playing out of position. Kwanzaa was playing on the left. And he just didn't seize it for me. Like I said it earlier, I don't know if the leadership is his strength. I think he's a really good companion center back. I think when he's paired with a dominant center back, he looks fantastic. But in terms of, did he look like the money that he's demanding? I don't know. I'm okay with paying up for Konate. I am. Because I don't think that there's many out there. And I think that you'd be dealing with a whole lot of, fuss and bother to try to get them up to speed. But he thinks he's the best center back in the world or one of the best center backs in the world. This performance didn't feel like that. Like, there's a big difference when I'm watching Virgil and when I'm watching Konate do kind of these solo things. So for me, it was a miss for him.
Kev?
Yeah, I wouldn't argue with any of it. I agree with every pick that Ashley's made, and for exactly the same reasons. I think Konate was poor. I thought Kwanzaa was all right. In the main, I thought Kwanzaa was okay. A couple of times he was channeling his inner Joel Matip and going on mazy runs. I like the fact that there was one time in the second half he played a 1-2 to bring the ball out. And he carried the ball up and laid it off out to Diaz. And then he went into the box. And he was brave enough to say, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And he didn't panic and think, I have to get back. I'm a centre-back. I have to defend. No, it was the right thing to do. But yeah, Allison made 9 saves tonight. That tells you everything about how open the midfield was. And Brighton, I think, at home, in the form that they're in at the minute, give anyone problems. But, that was way too open. There was no control from us at all. Harvey was man of the match. Really good game. Good link-up play. Confident on the ball. Got back, did the dirty work when he had to. Good energy to get in the box, get the finish. And enjoyed watching him a lot. But yeah, it's hard to disagree with the choices that Ashley made. The only one I would stick in, like I said, was Gerard Kwanzaa. Wasn't, I don't think, the problem tonight.
Mm.
I think there were problems were happening around him that affected that affected him, but he wasn't the issue. There were issues ahead of him and next to him, and Costas as well. Costas didn't have a bad game, but one thing I will say is Costas is lucky he didn't get a red card. He deserved a red card.
I hated that tackle he made. I hated that.
It was
very reminiscent of Ramos on Mo.
Yeah.
It was like, I'm surprised he didn't get a yellow.
Yeah.
That was violent conduct. The way that he hooked the arm and really launched him over the shoulder.
It was cheap.
Lucky that he got up.
Yeah, it was cheap. It was unnecessary. It was It was crass. It was just, and the game wasn't played that way. It wasn't a spiteful, nasty game where there were tackles flying in. It was a hard game. It was a fair enough game. That was just so unnecessary. I thought overall he didn't do too bad, but I mean, defensively, I thought he did okay against his fullback. He went a bit mad a couple of times, but in general, bailed himself out of the shit he caused himself. But that just left a really sour taste in my mouth. Didn't like seeing that at all. There's no need of it.
Yeah. In terms of mine, I agree with Elliott and Alisson. Canate is a good shout. My other one is probably Bradley. I think if you're going to be starting right back for Liverpool, you've got to get better at sensing danger. And ultimately, you need to be available. And my concern is I've yet to see him be regularly available to do 90s. I mean, listen, maybe he's not going to do nice like Kev, like you said. Maybe the plan is always going to be on 70 we swap fullbacks around. And, if you bring in a Frimpong on, maybe that changes things. But just felt defensively today he was just off it. He wasn't the only one.
Yeah. The only thing I would say, can I just caveat what I said there about Bradley? He's 21. Frimpong's 24. At 21 years of age, I think Conor Bradley's way ahead of where a normal 21-year-old fullback who's really in his first season in senior football in the Premier League. I think he's way ahead of where we'd expect him to be, but by the time he gets to Frimpong's age, you're going to see a completely different player.
Yeah.
Because what you see in attack, the defensive side will come. But what you see in attack, there's so much promise there for him.
Yeah, that's very true. Right, let's get up some of Ashley's fantastic quotes here. So, first one.
There's a few fun facts. Liverpool have now scored in 100% of their away games in an entire league season for the first time in club history. They've also scored in 21 consecutive away top flight matches overall. In Mo Salah's 300th Premier League appearance, which includes Chelsea, he is starting a game as captain for the very first time in this competition, which is kind of surprising. Like, I know he's started in Europe, but that was surprising to me. Couple more fun facts. Liverpool are just the third side in Premier League history ever to score in 100% of their away games in a single season, after both Arsenal and Man United did so in 2001-2002. There were a few quotes from Elliott. I mentioned this earlier. They're a little bit sad. Elliott said, "I think I've done it this season. It's been hard with how much I've played. I've tried as hard as I could, and whatever happens, happens." He continues, "It's about what's best for my career. It's about reflecting and seeing what I can do. I'm here at the moment, and I'm focusing on the final game." So for me, that, especially this line, "I've tried as hard as I could, and whatever happens, happens," that reads to me like a player that the writing's on the wall for him, and that feels harsh for Elliott. I think Slot knows what he wants in that position, and I don't think that Elliott's suddenly going to become more pacey. And I think that's going to hold him back. I think his stature is going to hold him back. I think that he's a very technical player, but whether it was for Klopp or for Slot, he's always been sort of like an impact sub. He's always really shown in that role. He has not had the opportunity, whether through injury or through bad luck, to really establish himself as a starter. And I do think there comes a point where he is going to have to start asking questions about his career. So that's what those quotes kind of told me.
Playing devil's advocate as well, the tentative links, the links of Florian Wirtz, whether they happen, they don't happen, I still think he goes to Bayern Munich. But the likes of a Joyce is not rubbishing it, saying, yeah, Liverpool are interested and would be if the opportunity arises. But does that not also tell you, read through the lines, that's the type of position they're looking for, which is a 10, which is basically where Elliott's probably best position is. So he was quite buoyant that he wants to stay at Liverpool, and he loves Liverpool, he wants to stay there, and I get that. Like you said, maybe someone's had a word in his ear saying, you could stay, but you're not going to play much. Or you can or you can go somewhere else and get more game time and get more of a career out of it.
For his career, I actually think, I hate to say this, but I think it's probably best that he does move on, because he's had such a stop-start career since he came to Liverpool, with that horrible ankle injury, and then that injury that happened this year, like right after he had that fantastic preseason. I thought that this was going to be his year. Like, he had a fantastic preseason. I thought this is going to be a slot player. Of all the players, I actually thought Jones and Elliott were going to be the two that thrived under Slot when he first came in. And, I suppose
Jones has the benefit of his physicality, doesn't he? Which Elliott, look, you're the size you are. You can't do much about that.
I think at the end of the day, you have to look at it and, like, I know today meant nothing, but you have this opportunity and you have this kind of second string team that's coming together. Like, there are going to be times next year where we're going to need to play this second string, and I wasn't hugely wowed by it. And I think that that's something that we are going to have to work on. Like, I think that Slot's going to have to work on figuring out, like, if this is the FA Cup, team that he's going to pick, like, how does he pick one that's going to win against a Brighton? Because we're going to have to play against a Brighton. And we should be able to do that. Like, we should be able to drop Konate or Virgil or McAllister or Jota and win these games. And the intensity's not there, but we should still be able to get it over the line. And that's, I don't know, that was what I was thinking at toward the end of the match, where it was just like, there should be enough in the team or on the bench to make this happen. And I don't think Slot's found what that second string team is. Like, he knows what his first team string is, but I don't know. Like, he never
played him.
Yeah,
that's true. That's
true. And that's his own fault. That's on him. Did we really have to top the group in the Champions League? No, we just had to qualify. That's all we had to do. I mean, he played mixed teams in the FA Cup, but when it came to the league, I'd say if he could have used 15 or 16 players in the league, that's what he would have done. And I feel sorry for Elliott, but if Elliott wants to further his career and go on and play for England and go to tournaments and what have you, and he's good enough. Don't let this season dwell on the fact that technically he's an excellent footballer. He just might not suit this style of play. That doesn't mean he doesn't suit a style of play. He's a serious value to us there.
He's good enough to start. For a number of clubs.
Yeah, but what I'm talking
our midfield.
Yeah, what I'm talking about now is more his transfer value and what that
is a
good fee. Exactly, a good fee for him opens up a lot of doors for potential transfer fees that we could end up going for. And I think potentially you're looking at a 50, 60 million pound transfer to get him in today's market. 22 years of age, England international.
Homegrown players always have that extra.
Yeah.
Hughes and Edwards are going to drive. I mean, you look at what they did for, let's say, what was his name?
Van der Ven. Not Van der Ven. Sepp van der Berg.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Or Carvalho. There's a couple of players that we thought, they're not going to get near those numbers. They did.
Yeah, Elliott is streets ahead of all of them.
He absolutely. Yeah. I think if I'm Forest and I'm losing Gibbs White, I'm looking at Elliott as a replacement. I think he'd be fantastic for Forest. I think he'd be great at Brighton, to be honest. I think that he is that playmaker that they might need kind of further in that midfield, because they've got like a Baleba deeper who can do all of the kind of, fighter work.
Yeah. It wouldn't surprise me if you saw one of the Champions League German clubs looking at him.
Yeah, I can see that. I
Yeah.
mean, like a
Dortmund.
Leverkusen kind of deal would sound really nice.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Is that what you
I
want?
could see him doing really well, something like that. So I see the last couple of things. This is a not so fun start.
What was that?
So there's Liverpool are the first side to be crowned Premier League champions and then fail to win their next 3 games in a competition in the same season, drawing 1 and losing 2.
Yeah, there's a field full of Fs that I give.
Yeah.
I know, but it is what it is.
So there was 105 touches in the opposition box between Brighton and Liverpool, and there's only one other Premier League game on record since 08-09 that has had more. It's City versus Luton. So in terms of
that looks a made up start, doesn't it?
Of the match.
Oh, poor Luton.
I know.
Poor Luton.
Poor Luton.
Bless him.
Yeah.
Oh.
So Slot was asked a couple of different questions. There's not a lot of quotes from Slot, but on Frimpong, he says, I think that what we all know is the moment we announce it, that is the moment that we talk about it in general. He's been very kind of sticklery on this.
Yeah.
He talks at the end. He says, we don't win games the easy way. The easy way is taking control of the ball, passing it around 5 times, and then we have a goal, and then the next goal, and the next goal. That is not what we did today. Yeah. He continues, if we achieved something this year, it's mainly to do with the mentality of the players and what they've shown. That's what you saw today as well. You kind of
That's a double-edged sword.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if you really did see it. That feels
well, I think that's his point.
Okay.
Is when you look at the mentality that we've shown all the way through the season, and then you look at the key senior players who are not there, and you're like, well, we had the mentality, and now you've taken 2 or 3 key players out of it. Are the others up to the mark? We don't know, but
is that
feels like a double-edged sword? That one
is that throwing the gauntlet down again? Where it, like it was Szoboszlai, will my number 10 score goals, or what do you want for your number 9? More goals, or challenger players go, well, these lads said they can play 3 games a week, but they didn't prove that last time they had Europe. So maybe it is a little bit of that. I do wonder. I think you will see a slight adaptation in the way Liverpool play anyway next season, because I think apart from Matt, because he's ultra positive, which is why we love him, no one saw a league title this year. Probably deep down, Slot didn't either. But it's one of those, you got yourself into a position where you could win a league title. It's almost like he probably didn't do as many tweaks and changes as he would have done, because it's kind of like, it's a bit like ride the wave, ride the momentum, get it over the line, because it's good to get one under your belt before I've even implemented all my changes. I wonder if you start to see more of these tweaks and ways we want to be a bit more next year.
The hardest thing to do for any club is to do it again, to go back to back. That's the challenge now.
We haven't done it since, was it 80? Sorry, is it 84 or 86?
84.
Yeah,
it's in the mid-80s anyway. But
mid-80s since we've done a back-to-back retention, and mid-80s since we've done something like a double. So I mean, that's the new challenge for Liverpool, is look to retain and perhaps look to do more than one. Look to do a league title and something. That's the next step, isn't it? See what happens.
I don't know. I mean, look, I just think that there could be some unexpected sales. I wouldn't be surprised if Harvey Elliott is one, to be honest.
I think he's ruthless. Like I genuinely think that Slot's going to be pretty ruthless. But
I think I've seen a few in fact talk about the Elliots, the Gomez's. I mean, Jones keeps getting thrown in there because he's easy one to throw. He's just the easy one to everyone play.
Jones goes. I think Jones goes. I know that there's a few Jones haters out there.
They always appear when Liverpool don't win. But you're definitely losing Trent. We're almost definitely probably losing Kelleher. Mm-hmm. That's 2 homegrown lads gone. Bradley takes one of those spots.
Frimpong takes one.
So if Elliott goes, again, it's just make sure you're on that precipice of there's only so many of the homegrown lads you can sell.
And you're also likely to lose Tyler Morton. So
there's 3.
I think there's every chance that the players that you're going to come in, I can definitely see 1 or 2, maybe English, but definitely homegrown players with Premier League experience.
I mean, that's
And
where like a Guehi would come into play.
Yeah,
or
hotline-
Orton
Mark
would
Guehi
come
would be
into
one.
play.
Well, that's a hotline puts there. How much does a Guehi cost? Do you look at something like a Gomez plus money?
Guehi's only got a year left in his contract, and
the one thing you would say with Guehi is he's a leader. You
Yeah.
know, he's captain of Palace. He played really well, and let's be honest, the reason he went off is because apparently he went off with a suspected broken eye socket. Luckily
Yeah.
for him, it's not. It's
just bad
just
bruising.
very, very bad. I mean, you could see it looked like Rocky had punched him. You know,
Yeah.
the state of his eye.
Yeah.
But that might be that
thing
may
is,
be a thing you start to look at a little bit
You
more.
look at
of those
you
things.
look in the last transfer window, and Palace were offered a shit ton of money to let him go in January. I think Spurs are desperate for him.
Yeah, they got Danso instead, didn't they? But
Yeah.
they definitely wanted
So
Guehi.
the money was there to get him. The determination was there to get him. Palace said no, and ultimately Palace were rewarded with their first trophy in their history. So
And now
the
their first
flip-
ever trip in Europe.
yeah, the flip side of that is now that the Mark Guehi is only got a year left in his contract, the value isn't there. And it's a case of what does the player want now? Does he want to go? Does he want to stay at Palace and stay there for the rest of his career? You know, take him into Europe, play in Europe at Selhurst Park. That's a possibility. He's a London boy. He might want to stay in London. You know?
And also, he'll be. This is also going to be the not chance for Liverpool, chance for all clubs this year. It's World Cup year, so players are also a bit more edgy about certain moves
wanting
going.
to play, yeah.
I need to play because if I'm not playing, and Guehi, to be fair, has got himself into the England squad, and you know he played well in the last tournament for England, so he's probably sitting there thinking, I don't want to be a bit part player for a Liverpool or a City because great, I get to experience big things, big games, but I also want to play for my country.
Hotline is making the point: if Costas, Endo, and Darwin Núñez leave, we can add up to 5 non-homegrown players and be fine. Yeah, that's on this season's homegrown numbers.
Yeah, you need
because
seven homegrown.
Season though, something just to note is that okay, we have Elliott who may or may not stay. Sounds like he might go. But Elliott, Bradley, Ramsey, and Kwanzaa all qualify as homegrown next year. So that's 4. You might lose
4.
1 in Elliott.
Yaros would be 5.
Yeah,
well, Yaros already qualifies. So
yeah.
Yaros qualifies, Gomez qualifies, Jones qualifies. Those are 3 that I think stay.
Yeah.
You're losing Trent and Morton off of that list. I think I don't actually think we're in a horrible place.
You're losing Kelleher as well.
Yeah. So
and you're gaining Mamadashvili.
We currently have 6 that are registered. We have Jaros, Trent, Kelleher, Gomez, Jones, Morton.
Yeah.
If we keep Jaros, Gomez, Jones, we add 4. So we'd end up with 7 homegrown without anything. So without doing anything this year, even if Harvey Elliott goes, we'd still be 6 for 6.
I know.
So our numbers would be exactly.
But is it 7 the minimum you need to be able to have a full quota of non-homegrown?
You have Frimpong coming in, so then you have
Bajcetic, Rail Strokes,
and you also have Bajcetic.
But again, so I'll be amazed if Bajcetic plays next year.
You're only allowed to register 17 non-homegrown players.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I'm sure this is a show intuitive.
There definitely is a show. We'll definitely do a show for it down the line.
Yeah, I think that this is something that we need to go into in detail.
I understand what Hotline's saying. Said, you can't exceed 17 non-homegrown. Yeah. That's true. But I think maybe it's more for Europe. There is a rule saying, yes, you can have 17 non-homegrown, but you have to have a certain number of homegrown. If you don't, which I think happened to City, I think it's happened to Liverpool once, where they go, yeah, that's fine. You only have 16 non-homegrown. You have to register a player.
It's a non-homegrown quota that you end up having to cut off.
Yeah.
For every one you don't have, it's the non-homegrown ones has to be chalked off. And that's why you end up with 2 or 3 of the kids registered on B lists and stuff like that. It's a weird. You almost need a small degree in maths to be able to get all this shit sorted out. It's a bit crazy, but yeah.
And Dicko's
It's
put us in the chat. I
Yeah,
don't know how true is it.
there are rumors.
Rumours that
I have
Jurgen
not
Klopp
seen
has agreed to become the new
anything-
Roma manager.
I have not seen anything reputable on this.
right.
Until
No,
like, if someone wants to throw in something reputable, I'd be happy to look it up. But I've looked and there's nothing I can see, guys.
No,
Like,
me neither.
I know that this is like that would make a big splash, but
Okay. And then apparently there is I haven't seen it, so I can't talk about it. Apparently there's a video going around of Mr. Trent not looking very happy at the end of the game.
he just is kind of looking up at the traveling fans and kind of looks like one of those like penny for your thoughts faces.
Yeah. Slot speaks to Beef's match today. Two very good teams wanting to play football, not time wasting, no diving. That's definitely something he's got to be in his bonnet about. Momentum changed in the game, and I waited for us to score the third. That would have killed the game, but they made it 2-2. Great game, but not the result we wanted. And I think he's talking about Mo next. Yeah, we got a bit more. So these moments at this level do make a difference. Just before that miss, Mo gave a similar chance to Chiesa, and it was well blocked. And then he's also put Slot. We played 8th in the Premier League, and they are able to bring in Mitoma. That shows the strength of this league. I mean, it's a good point. I mean, as we've said,
plus the fact that he would have known a couple of their players. I think Minta played for him at Feyenoord.
And Weaver did as well, didn't he? The right
Weaver
back
did as well, yeah.
I know he's more of a centre mid, but he plays playing right back today. Slot, if we don't score the third, then it's hard to win the game at this level, especially away from home. We cannot miss chances like we did if we want to win the game. Yeah, pretty much. That's what we need. That's what we need. So
one thing on Salah's chance, that ball comes across him and he takes it with his left foot.
Stick his right foot.
I'm convinced he's got to get his right foot on that. Not telling Mo Salah how to score a goal, but the ball is coming across you that way. Surely it's a much more difficult finish to take that on your left foot and try to time it like that, rather than just cushion it with your right foot into the goal and it's tap it. I just find it really weird. I wonder, is that why Mo Salah isn't playing through the middle? Little subtleties in finishing like that.
Yeah. Also, he's always gone to say, whenever he's interviewed, he always says, "I'm a winger." Whenever they say, he's very insistent. He's a winger. That's what he wants to be. So, cool. Stephen kept asking, YouTube shows are free, Stephen, and even if you download the Patreon app for free, you get the first month for free, and all of the shows we do on that, some you can still watch through YouTube and just click on a link, or you watch it within the Patreon app. So entirely up to yourself. The options there. Try Patreon for a month, see what you think. If not, there will still be the free shows here. There'll always be the Sunday show with the guys.
We're committed to having free shows every.
And there will be the post match with us as well. And normally sometimes do a preview show as well. So cool. Right. Before we go, anything else you want to add?
I'm just looking at all these people throwing in the Klopp and the Roma stuff, and I still don't see anyone reputable. So if you guys have anyone reputable that you can I think you guys are all maybe being taken for a ride by the Twitter crazies. I don't know. I could be wrong.
I looked online. I just looked online. I don't go on Twitter anymore, but I looked at it and just a quick Google search. It seems to be a lot of fan sites going with it, mainly from the Italy side, but they're also linking Claudio Ranieri and Jose Mourinho. And it's like, look, every job that comes up, Jurgen Klopp's going to get linked with it. And if he takes the Roma job, good luck to him. I don't think he's going to stay in this role, that he's with Red Bull. I just think he'll get the itch. And he'll want to get back into football. The only thing that he did say is that he won't manage again in the Premier League. As long as he sticks to his word on that, then cool.
I just wondered if he might try for the Germany job after the World Cup.
Yeah, I think he'd be too old for it by then.
Seems to be more of an old man's an older manager's game these days. The world.
Yeah, I don't though. I think international football. You look at. I mean, yeah, Carlo Ancelotti is an exception to the rule with Brazil, but that's Brazil. It's just like, that job comes up and you gotta give it a go. I'm not convinced that. I think if the Dutch job came up, I think Arne Slot would find it really difficult to turn it down if he was offered it, because of the way he talks about Holland, the way he talks about Dutch football in general. I think ultimately.
You're gonna give everyone unnecessary anxiety.
No, I just look
not
at
how we want to close the show about suddenly leaving for the Dutch job.
No, I don't think it'll suddenly happen. But I look at the history.
I know what you mean though.
Dutch football, the amount of Dutch managers that are in the game that always end up having a spell in charge of the Dutch side. They all give it a go. That's why Ronald Koeman ends up going back there all the time. I think he will. I think
he will one day.
I think 3-4 years down the line, I think he'll do it for sure.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be a bit surprised if 2034.
He's only 46. He's got so many years ahead of him.
Yeah.
Oh, he's a baby.
Yeah, I just think that when you listen to him talking about the Dutch national side and international football and Dutch football in general, I never heard Jurgen Klopp talking about that when it came to Germany.
I mean, he'll basically be managing the Dutch football team anyways.
Well, yeah, I was
all coming here.
We're buying off a Dutch team, but
I did say that whoever is Ronald Koeman is just going to get a season ticket.
We're going to have to be on really, really good terms with Ronald Koeman now because, all of the international break and everything.
I think Ronald's going to get a season ticket at Anfield.
To be fair, Ronald's a bit of a top red because he always seems to do us favours.
Right?
He always seems to do favours for us when we do need them.
Yeah.
So I think there's a bit.
On the Alexis McAllister one, yeah, Argentina have 2 World Cup qualifiers, but they've already confirmed as top of the South American qualifying group. They can't be caught. So I wouldn't.
So
this will be
on a holiday.
So it looks like he's given a full month off, which would make sense.
I hope so for the players' sake more than anything. I think there'll be a few Argentinian players that they'll look at this with an eye to the World Cup and think, okay, Liverpool have done us a favour by not playing it. Because you've got to remember, this day last season was the last game of the season.
Yes.
19th of May. This day last year was the last game of the season. So this season is rolling on for an extra week. And then you still got a Champions League final after that. So it's like, and then you've got a mini transfer break and then a Club World Cup. And then players will come straight back into preseason and then the show goes on again. So the fact that a player can go away and basically have a month off, 6 weeks off.
He's got a big weekend coming up. He's got trophies to lift and parades to go on.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Buses to be on. So he has to get a really good night's
Yeah.
sleep. We all have to get really, really good night's sleeps. There's big things happening.
How bubbling are you right now?
I am so excited. I just need to figure out the suitcase situation. Everyone knows that I suck at packing. So
okay, you need to have a word with Emmett.
Figure that out.
Yeah.
It'll be
You
fine.
need to have
You've definitely got a suitcase this time.
Yeah, no, I do. I have a suitcase. I have everything figured out.
We can't talk about you and the suitcase because that was a Patreon exclusive.
I know.
But it was stressing me and Gav out.
Yeah.
I can't deny. Me and Gav
Madge, I agree with you, by the way. I think about 5 years. I think 5 years and you'll see Arne Slot managing L'Orange.
That'll be fine.
Thor's got a quick question for us. Any thoughts on Jordan Henderson and Ajax? I know they were 9 points clear with about 6 with 6 games to go, and
the manager's gone, isn't he?
They ended up losing, didn't they? With on the last game.
I think it was the game before Ajax blew a lead because I can remember seeing video clips. I think it was on TikTok of the Eindhoven, the PSV fans in the ground getting the result. And the players were celebrating with the fans as the Ajax result came in because they were out of it. I think Ajax, all they had to do was get a win. And they ended up with a draw in that game. So the
97th minute, something like that. It was a late equaliser as well.
Ridiculous situation. But yeah, I think the manager's already gone.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So yeah, what Jordan Henderson does with the rest of his career is, none of my business.
Yeah. Hotline says 6 days to
I'm a girl.
Liverpool in 6 days,
I
lads and lasses.
A backpack for 8 days. Like, I'm sorry. You deserve an award. Like,
We have
fantastic.
Primark.
Really, really proud of you.
We have Primark,
But
yeah.
I just don't want to smell for 8 days. Like, I'm going to be meeting these people for the first time. I don't want to be wearing stinky clothes. So, yeah. I don't know. There's definitely a suitcase involved.
Yeah, you'll be good.
Please
You'll
to
be
hear.
fine.
I'm
Please
just
do.
excited. I think that's the kind of takeaway from tonight. Like, yeah, the game sucked. I hate losing.
Yeah.
Even if it doesn't mean anything. But, you know, there's exciting times ahead. Next weekend is going to be so incredibly spectacular for not only us, but for the players, for the manager, for the whole city of Liverpool. And I want to focus on that. And yes, I am packing a raincoat. I know that there's rain kind of like in the future.
I know. I'm kind of keeping our fingers crossed that doesn't happen, because normally last game of the season's always hot.
Yeah. One thing.
I would rather it be hot than rainy, but you know what? I will.
Do you guys think Klopp is in the ground?
No.
I think he's involved in the parade.
Yeah.
In one way, shape, or another. I don't know what that means. I think
it'd be at the parade. I don't think it'd be in the ground.
I think he will be. I honestly think he will be.
I just want to take the shine off as well.
No, I think he will be, and I will be surprised if he's not. And the thing is, I don't think it takes the shine off anything. I just think it adds to it personally.
I would quite like the players from the 1920 squad to be invited.
Yeah, I'd like to see a few then there.
The ones who didn't get to celebrate it in front of the crowd.
Yeah,
you know,
I
that
would
was
like
one thing.
Firmino to be there, like
Gini, Firmino, Fabinho.
Yeah, like a Sadio maybe.
Sometime they said Klopp will give the medals out.
I would like that. Like, I'd be okay with that.
And real talk saying Klopp can hand the title over to Arne.
Klopp in the Kop. I love that.
Klopp in the Kop.
I would like that.
Madge has got comment of the night. That's the best one.
I think that's what he said he wanted to do, though. Like, when asked about coming back, he was like, I just want to be in the Kop with the fans. So if he can do that, that'd be like, I can just see him with a weird little mustache and those weird little googly eyes, just like shit kind of disguise in the Kop. I think that'd be funny.
Oh, another thing before we go. Well, double guard of honor
with Crystal Palace. That's gonna be the.
During the magic, during that game, is it like the magic chairs? So we all line up, and as soon as they walk past, you have to run to the front.
Yeah,
that would be good.
I know. I think that's
I think it'd be nice to do something for Palace. It'd be quite nice if Palace brought the FA Cup to actually parade that they won it. Because I think if, say, like Guehi and Wharton are rumoured to be injured, I think both had suspected concussions, probably aren't going to play. Let them come out with the FA Cup and walk it to their corner, celebrate it. Because the crowd would be fine with it. So
I think the Liverpool fans would give it properly. I think they would.
But also, I've got to admit, Palace fans are always sound when they come to Anfield.
Yeah.
There's no silly song, any of that crap you get from other fans. They just sing about their own team and just enjoy their team, which is kind of how it should be.
I just want to say this, just in case that he's listening or he still listens to football podcasts, and he might get to see this. We had a Palace fan on when we were doing a lot of rival stuff. He was always available. His name was Patrick.
Oh,
he's based in New York, from South London. If you're listening to this, Patrick, congratulations, because that at the weekend was up there as one of the moments of any season. Seeing the Palace,
magic of the Cup coming back.
Yeah, 100%.
We say all the time that the magic of the Cup is gone. That felt magical.
Oh, it was.
Do you realise so far the Premier League, the League Cup, and the FA Cup have all been won by teams that have a bird in their badge. So come on, Tottenham. No pressure.
Make what you want of that.
Yeah, I'm taking that as an omen. That means Tottenham are going to beat United. It probably isn't going to happen. But,
why not?
Anyway, the bird. Right, on that happy note.
It's a bit of a reach. It's a bit of a reach. But
It is a reach.
We'll run with it because, Chris, you're the host. You can do whatever you want.
Well, for now. So, listen, like, subscribe, become a patron. It's great fun. But listen, hit the bell icon, and because we'll have more shows coming up.
There will be shows live from Liverpool. It might be a good time to become a Patreon. Like, there's going to be crazy stuff happening. If you want like an inside look into what's going on next weekend, like Patreon's probably the place that's going to happen. Because last time we went live, it wasn't good. Patreon is probably going to be the place that everything's going to be put on.
Cool. On that happy note, then we'll go. Listen, we're all looking forward to Sunday now. We're going to watch Liverpool lift the Premier League trophy. Take care.
See ya.
Bye.